and I also have Shomojit and Unushmita along with us. So we are a team from IIM Bangalore, and we did case competitions together all through last year. And today we'll tell you some of the strategies that actually helped us to succeed in case competitions, and I hope that these will be useful to you. And we are thankful to ACET for giving us this opportunity. We also were the national finalists of HUL Finesse, the campus winners of Interrobank, and we were the campus finalists of RBS, UAG, and Over the Wall, that is Marico. Apart from these, we also won college case competitions, including those that are organized by IIM Bangalore, IIM Indore, IIM Trichy. Yeah. So proceeding. Yeah. So I think case competitions is something that is reflected uh, by good performance in case competitions, and which is ultimately reflected on your CV. So it's a very good CV point in that sense. And above all, I think it helps you to grow as an individual, as a business student, and I think in that way it is very useful. So before proceeding to the specifics, I think we'll start with a few key pointers, which I think can be useful. Yeah. So as you can see on screen, we have enlisted a few strategies and a few subjects that might be important to you. So before starting, let me remind you, like what most of us feel. I think Shomojit and Unushmita can come in with their comments as well. Is that there is no subject or elective which is absolutely crucial. If you don't take that elective or subject, you will not be able to perform well. As you can see in the last point, we have actually written down that your engineering drawing, which you learned in UG, if you are an engineer, that may be useful as well. And one of the key things that we did by mistake, and what other teams also tend to do, is try to fit in a framework, or also as far as communication is concerned, always, like when you are presenting, I think one of the frameworks which I found to be very useful is the IDA framework, which is awareness, interest, design. Awareness, interest, desire, and action. Uh, so that is very important. So, like, firstly, lay out the structure for the audience, and from that, slowly build in interest. And at the end, it's very important that you give an actionable for the audience.
Yeah, as Shoham pointed out, that there is no subject which is very important for case competitions. But obviously, if you studies the subjects well and interpret those well, then it might help you in case competitions. But one thing, as we have found, that mainly companies want fresh creative ideas. So for that idea, you have to back with different theories and different.
For Flipkart part, so we have enlisted down the absolutely one or two takeaways we have from these competitions. Example for Flipkart Wired, what we feel round in which actually all the teams they were made to interact with the senior leadership and senior managers of Flipkart, and this is something that our mentor mentioned is like uh, when Paytm, Flipkart, all Amazon, or when all these companies come for case competitions, they're looking to answer the problem how to get the next 100 million customers. So if you can address that, you'll do well in the case competitions. Another thing which is important is there are two ways which he mentioned that you can win case. That is, one is your idea is bombastic, it's really out of the world, you can do that. And if you don't have an idea that is very strong, you have to engage in extensive research, you can back it up with primary, secondary data analysis, and finally you can give a complete roadmap. You can do it that way as well. Yeah, for HUL finish, what we felt is that it's not an out and out fin competition. You don't need to be a completely fin person for HUL finish, and fin in FMCG is a support function, and the competition is structured like that as well. So it's not like a CFA research challenge kind of a competition. And for ITC Interrobank, the interesting thing about it is that the problem statements are different for different campuses, and they're actually looking to implement the idea, and they've done it in the past. So make sure that whatever you're giving, it applies to all competitions. But for ITC, this is particularly important that there is a clear actionable that the company has, because it is actually looking to take your idea out into the market.
So the next thing what we want to mention is the research. So as we know that there are mainly two types of research, primary and secondary. Mainly maximum teams actually carry out secondary research, but we focus very much into the primary research because in some case competitions it really gave us some inputs or insights that the company itself didn't know. So we had an edge over other teams from that perspective. So obviously, you understand that in B school, taking primary research consumes a lot of time, but you can actually do primary research through surveys. Survey is an easy method, but for better insights, you can take a depth interview. The depth interview should be taken from people from different age group and different educational backgrounds. That is a problem in B school because all are from kind of similar backgrounds. So actually we in some competitions we actually interviewed people from other organizations also. For same for Flipkart competition we interviewed people from Amazon also. The next is focus group discussion. A focus group discussion normally span for 30-40 minutes, but it can really give you some uh, good inputs for case competitions. Uh, the next is we have adopted this thing for some case competitions to demonstrate that we have actually we have taken primary research into account and we represented it in video format. And the secondary research are mostly done to understand the market growth potential, what are the competitors doing, what is the company's current customer segment, and what is the positioning. But obviously, I would like to tell that primary research normally is not carried out by most of the teams. But if you can do it sincerely, I'm sure that it can yield some positive output for you.
Use case follows directly after the primary and secondary research that you are doing. So while doing the research, you will actually come to form an idea about like if even if like sometimes you may not get an idea also, so that might also happen, but you will get an idea of like what the company is doing and what the pain points of the customer are, and how you can fill in those pain points. So a use case, I think most of you are familiar with what a case is. So for those who are not, it's just a customer pen profile kind of a thing. So for example, so first you draw out the profile of the person. For example, a homemaker. She's 40 years of age. She resides in a live approach. So this is something that we followed in Flipkart. So for example, so what we did was so let's take the example of the homemaker. Uh, so in the morning, she prepares breakfast for her husband who goes to an office, and then she also prepares tiffin for her kid. Uh, when her kid goes to school, she finds time for herself, and maybe she spends time on her mobile playing Candy Crush or something like that. So in that way, we drew out so what the person actually does, and you can easily find needs of the person through things. So, for example, I think I remember we first of hyperlocal as something that Flipkart can do through such an exercise. We also thought of increasing user engagement. So when the so interacts more on the platform, so we how we can increase it. So I think this is a very good groundwork that teams can do before proceeding on to solving the actual case. And most importantly, do not try and solve for anything. You can't solve for everything. Prioritize.
That we discovered while starting our journey. Uh, until the completion of MBA case competition, we did not find other teams replicating use cases, but we got the insight from people who are in product management roles in some companies that using or demonstrating use cases is one a very important tool to understand the potential of the customer segment. So you can actually use use cases and demonstrate it by properly. Yeah.
Make a video to catch the attraction of the judges, because sometimes it gives some kind of plus point to you, so you can add some kind of primary research, some key scheme solutions, key findings, and all those things into your video, so that they can get an overview of whatever you're going to present. And they also, if they're not video making. Now coming to our idea, so always try to find the idea about what the company didn't think or didn't find out yet. Don't point down all the ideas already available on the market or the in the internet, where they can simply surf and get some ideas. Always try to come out with some innovative ideas. Think out of the box and try to find out something really innovative. Maybe that's used in some other industries, but not in this industry. But it's feasible for that particular company because they have those kind of core competency, then you can use. But except that, always try to think out of the box. It will separate you from other teams and can show you the path to win the case competition.
That Anushmita has reiterated. If you don't have any idea or anything new to show the company, better not to compete. We remember some case competitions where we took some time, where we made efforts for 1 2 days, but actually we did not come to any new things that we can present to the company. So, and we did not submit in that case. On the contrary, where we submit, where we have given some new things, so we have qualified for the next round. Because when you are giving some new ideas or new concepts, you know that it is new for the company and the company is bound to appreciate it, because it is a new perception, new perspective that the company will get from your presentation.
Most important thing in this entire video that we're making is, unless you have a new idea. So uh, companies, they come for case competitions for two reasons. One is branding, which is I think the lesser of the reasons, and next thing is whether they can get something new. I think this applies to internships as well. So unless you are able to give them some tangible things that they can actually implement, I think it's not worthwhile to proceed with the case competition, because anyway you will be having instances where you will be faced with a choice. Say I think Tata's competition clashed with Flipkart, and we chose Flipkart over Tata because we were not able to come up with anything new. And the second thing is that what happened in Flipkart Wired for us was that we actually came out with certain ideas, certain app improvements, and we actually found out that one or two of these ideas were actually being implemented by the company. So this is something of a a kind of a pleasant surprise to us. Like,
So we used to give many visual clues in our PPTs, and we tried to make the PPT as attractive as we can. Please concentrate on that. But obviously, it is not the mandatory thing. Uh, there were in cases where we submitted very simple looking presentations, and we own on the basis of the merit of the proposed ideas. Uh, the next is people often ask us two things, that what should be the density of text in your presentation. So we can tell what we have followed. Where we submitted the presentations for some competitions, we made it text heavy. And while in we when we were to present it in front of the judges, we tried to make it less text heavy and more of visual clues and other things. But obviously we cannot adhere to it every time, because there are some limitations from the company side regarding the number of slides, number of the time limit, etc., etc.
Yeah, regarding the KPIs and guesstimates, all those things, I want to say, if you give that, that will justify your ideas, because sometimes we provide certain kind of ideas which is not feasible for the company because of the budget, or maybe it's not coming into their timeline. So we also need to consider what is their budget and how much they can afford to invest on that particular project, and how much time they need to apply that particular ideas we have given. So if you give KPI, schedule, guesstimates and all those things, it will help them to visualize where it will go in future, and what will be the final result, by what time they will get the final product or can launch in the market. So it will show them also that you have actually worked hard on your idea, and you also thought about the future, about the implementation part, rather than only thinking about the ideas. So that will also give you a plus point. And whatever Somjit said, that PPT, it's not necessary to make it looking beautiful, but it's better if you make it proper, so that, because they give 2 to 3 minutes and they just go through the PPTs. If they are unable to understand anything, whatever you have written on your PPT, they can miss out certain number of points and some good ideas also. So it's better if you highlight certain points or make bold whatever you want them to notice in your PPT. And if don't overcrowd your PPT with sentences, you can use certain kind of words, important facts and figures and numbers on your PPT to make them understand it better. And you can also use clip arts and certain kind of other pictures to make them visualize whatever you want to say. If they are not spending too much time on your PPT, at least they are understanding whatever you have presented on your PPT. So that's a good thing. And except that, when there is a limit on your PPT number, you can use animation to increase the content of your PPT, so that you don't exceed on the PPT number, but still you present all the data you want to provide. And try to, whenever you are presenting in finals, then try to speak as much as you can, rather than putting all the things in your PPT as sentences. You can put main facts and figures in PPT and say whatever is your idea. So that will grab their attention to your whole idea. Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think two things that I think should be mentioned is, one thing is that you should remember, is whatever you are putting on the PPT, is you're putting it to support your big idea. So if there is one focal point of your presentation, that is the big idea. So people are less concerned about what kind of research you are doing, the implementation and not. They are focused on the idea. So that is one thing. And the second is, you need to remember that while presenting in front of the judges, you are the presentation and the PPT is supporting what you are saying. So prepare your PPT accordingly. So what we felt, that making a text heavy PPT for presentation is might not be optimal. uh, Other teams might have different perspectives on this as well. The second thing is that, I also feel like a bit background research about the company is also required in terms of its value. So, for example, for Amazon, it's customer obsessed. So, if you give an idea, so it has tons of money. It can invest a lot of money. But if your idea is not customer centric, if it is not solving a major pertinent.
Very important. Even more important is to have a compatible team. You have to understand that at the end you have to understand that at the end of the day, you should feel happy working with your teammates. So I would tell that the most important factor that contributed to our success as Team Coffee House is our team bonding. So first of all, we had very good bonding. We roam around the campus together. We used to had dinner, lunch together. So obviously, there grew a very good relationship among us. The next one thing is we had complementary skill sets, and we knew that. We, as we have read in human resource management, psychological safety. You should have a team where you will feel psychological safety. You should not be ashamed of yourself. You should not be frightened to mention anything. You must know that this team is your family for this 2 year. You have to make that team, and I think rest of the
I think we didn't mention on the slide is um start as early. So you'll not be successful the first time round. It will take time.
yeah,
And whatever we said in this video, don't follow it like the 10 commandments to winning case competitions. Nothing like that. So we actually we failed in a lot of case competitions. We started from our first year itself, and then after doing a certain number of competitions, we what someone else said, because that will not be actually be uh,
you should be happy. And if as Team Coffee House, if we would not have owned a single case also, I think we all were very lucky to get such a team.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and after winning or failing, don't blame each other. Rather than support each other, it will make your bond
yes,
even stronger, and
yes,
it will help you to win in next case competition.
Most important, after winning, go for parties.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
I guess, yeah, thank you. That's it from
Yeah.
our
Thank you.